Call to the order the BZA meeting for Wednesday, June 26, 2023. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Quick explanation, what's going to go on tonight. We're going to have the case presented. The staff will make the presentation. We'll have the applicant come give their presentation. After that, the public portion will have either for or against come speak on behalf or against the applicant. And then we'll close the public portion. And at that point, we'll ask questions of anyone that might have spoken. And you could be cross-examined by a lawyer. The meeting, I don't see anything going to be contentious, so I don't need to go in about that. But you know, you don't have to stay for the entire meeting. If your portion's done, you can go and leave. And then we'll have some administrative stuff after that. Is everyone signed in that's going to speak? I see no one is signed in for
the last name on BZA 05, maybe Mr. Joseas over there.
Yeah.
And that would be relative to BZA 09.
All right. I'm going to move that over. All right, very good. Need a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bartol?
Here.
Ms. Owens?
Present.
Mr. Shep?
Here.
Mr. Saido?
Here.
Mr. Roberto?
Present. Next on our agenda is the oath of office for Charles Thiemann. Charles, if you'll come to the podium. And I'll stand here if you don't mind. That way they can hear me. If you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Yes, sir.
I, Charles Thiemann, and
I, Charles Thiemann,
Jr., solemnly swear
solemnly swear
I will uphold the Constitution and the laws
I will uphold the Constitution and the laws
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
and the laws and resolution of Colerain Township,
and the laws and resolution of Colerain Township,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of an alternate member of the Board of Zoning Appeals
as an alternate member of the Board of Zoning Appeals
in and for Colerain Township,
in and for Colerain Township,
Hamilton County,
Hamilton County,
State of Ohio, so help me God.
State of Ohio, so help me God.
Thank you very much, sir. You may be seated. And we'll have you sign this once we have a notary present.
Very good.
Thank you, Mr. Thiemann.
All right, the next thing, I need to swear in anyone that's going to be speaking in tonight's case. If you would please stand and raise your right hand. Do you firmly swear you tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth before the Board of Zoning Appeals? Say, I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. First case this evening, it was continued from May 24th, 2023. This would be BZA 2023-5. The applicant is appealing a zoning verification letter sent by Colerain Township Zoning Administrator. The location of the property is at 7451 Colerain Avenue, parcel number 510-0071-0554-00. Applicant is Christina Dahman with Ice Miller LLP, and the property owner is In Town Suite, Colerain Township, or Colerain LLP. Do you have a presentation?
A very brief one, sir.
Very good, sir.
Thank you for introducing the case. Similar to last month, another continuance has been requested, and staff's recommendation is that the continuance be granted. And this stems primarily from the applicant has done a great job, applicant property owner has done a great job cleaning up all the items, all but one of the items listed within the zoning verification letter. And the applicant and property owner have shown and produced a good faith effort to continue negotiations with Colerain Township to reach a amicable outcome for the case. So staff's recommendation would be, if it pleases the board, to continue the case to next month's hearing. And that is primarily to give us being staff and the applicant more time to reach the agreement.
Very good. You just want us here next month.
Pardon me?
You just want us here next month. is what
Every
it is.
month. If I
Yeah.
can get you guys here, that's what I like to do. If I have to be here, then you better be here too.
All right.
Sorry.
Staff has made a recommendation. Do we have a motion to continue?
Well, before that, though, does the applicant need to or want to say anything, or is that not
I will
kosher?
defer to the applicant if they would like to.
Does the applicant want to make any note?
This is Christina Dahman with Ice Miller on behalf of In-Town Colerain, and I will just second what Mr. Oleg has put onto the record. And just to note for this board, if we were here last month, there would have been many other items listed on the alternative staff recommendation within the report here. If we had been here right out of the gate, there would have been even more. So it just shows the progress that we've made in that we're down to one item here, and we have had discussions as recently as basically yesterday, but have had back and forths since the end of last week when the law director for the township returned from vacation, so that we could have those substantive conversations in a productive manner.
So you're okay with the board continuing on for next month?
We are. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, Christina.
So a recommendation, and the applicant is asking, anyone from the board would like to make a motion to continue?
I'll make a motion to continue till next month, based on the staff's recommendation.
Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been made. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bartol?
Yes.
Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Shup?
Aye.
Mr. Saito?
Yes.
And Mr. Roberto?
Yes. We will see you next month.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chris, Christina, and Sarah. Thank you. Thank you, board.
The next case would be BZA 2023-09. This was also continued from last month. The applicant is requesting an expansion of a non-conforming use for the property located at 8077 Colerain Avenue. This is parcel 510-0071-0007-00. Applicant is Thamel Bar and Restaurant LLC, and the property owner is Colerain Avenue 8077 LLC. Does the staff have a presentation?
I do, sir.
Thank you.
I'll sort of breeze this one a little bit until the point we get to any changes, if that's okay with anyone. If anyone needs me to slow down or repeat something, please let
The
me
only
know.
one that Mr. Shupp wasn't here last month is.
Oh, perfect.
Do you,
Excellent, thank
do you need any further explanation than what the brief is? How much
If
detail are
you'd
you
like, I'll give a
looking?
quick presentation, and if there's maybe any questions after that. Is that okay? Thanks so much, Mr. Roberto. Thank you, Mr. Shupp. So located near the southern portion of the township, right along Colerain Avenue, as the address would indicate. The red star in the screen there, just south of Galbraith and just west of the intersection of Colerain and Sheldon. Sits 8077, just under a quarter of an acre. It is Zone B2 and is completely surrounded by B2. The applicant's request, the applicant's requesting expansion of non-conforming use to allow the conversion of the property from the previous use as a grocery store to the proposed use as a restaurant. This is the applicant's application and the original justification of expansion letter. This is the site plan turned in. These are some of the applicable zoning resolutions. And again, sort of rehashing, we went over, basically, staff's, the two things triggered are parking and landscaping. Parking for a restaurant is determined by the square footage or the seating, and we take whichever total is greater, and then that's the requirement for the property. I just want to make sure. So based on the seat count, this is not 100% exact because I'm not as sure about the booths, but it appears to be 33 total seats. The square footage is 77409. This is an update provided by the applicant since the last hearing. So this is a GIS map, in this case an aerial image, showing that the property to the north, the rear parking lot there, as stated in the applicant's justification letter, it's being used as a daycare. So these would be the portions of the parking lot that there'd be a shared parking agreement with that would help us meet the requirement of Article 13 parking. This is the sign. This is all in the packet in front of everyone as well. This is the signed parking agreement with that property to the north that was provided by the applicant's attorney, Mr. Joseas, who's here tonight. Thank you for providing staff with that, sir. And then really just to breeze through a little bit of the zoning resolution, the articles, the applicability section. Anytime there's a change in use greater than what was there, 13 is applicable. Based on the calculations of everything, there would be at 12 parking spaces would be required. The square footage is the greater amount. And based on the 774.09, I think this is approximately 12 parking spaces. It's staff's opinion that based with what we're presented with tonight and then what exists behind on the current property, and then also in conjunction with the shared parking agreement to the property to the north, we'll be able to either substantially meet or be just under, they're allowed up to a 10% reduction. Staff's opinion is that we'll have no problem meeting that, given the new evidence presented tonight. There's a landscape portion that was covered. That's a different portion to talk about, because a portion of this building is in the right-of-way, which is very unique, and a whole different discussion for another day at some point. But if anything, if it comes down, staff would recommend for a variance to that, if we'd be allowed to grant that, so long as the applicant shows a good faith effort to the maximum extent feasible, meet the zoning resolution and Colerain Township Comprehensive Plan, which has been indicated by the applicant's attorney through discussion as of today, that will be what's done in the future. And on the screen is just the required buffer yards. Again, it's B2, surrounded by B2, so there's no requirement there. Staff findings, this is based, it's a copy from the last meeting. It's staff's opinion the property in question will yield a reasonable return without the requested variances. It's staff's opinion that the request itself is substantial in nature. It's staff's opinion that the essential character of the neighborhood would not be substantially altered, or that adjoining properties would not suffer a substantial detriment as a result of granting the requested variance or variances. It's staff's opinion that granting the requested variance or variances would not adversely affect delivery of governmental services. It's staff's opinion the property owner who purchased the property did have knowledge of the zoning restrictions based on the purchase date, which was fairly recently, within the past 3 or 4 years, if memory serves me correctly. And then number 6, it's staff's opinion the property owner's predicament feasibly could be obviated through some method other than a variance. And it's staff's opinion that the spirit and intent behind the zoning resolution requirement would not be observed and substantial justice would not be done by granting the requested variances. That was the findings of the previous case prior to having discussions with the attorney, Mr. Joseas. And so the portion 7, part 7, would change that the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice, would be done or achieved by granting any requested variances. And based on that, staff's recommendation, staff recommends approval of the requested expansion of a non-conforming use with the following conditions. This varies from last month for a reason we'll get into maybe during the question period. I don't want to bog down the presentation. But pursuant to section 11.8.4, the approval granted by the Colerain Township Board of Zoning Appeals is a provisional approval for the specific use proposed within the application for BZA 2023-09. Staff's recommended condition number 2, pursuant to the same section 11.8.4, the approval of the proposed expansion of the non-conforming use is a specific and unique review strictly limited to case BZA 2023-09. Number 3, condition approval number 3, the applicant property owner would agree, or in this case agrees to submit a commercial site plan that complies to the maximum extent feasible with all relevant aspects of the Colerain Township zoning resolution, the Colerain Township Comprehensive Plan, and the Colerain Township Board of Trustees resolutions. And the reason referencing the section 11.8 so much in this case versus last case, there's a little bit of a discussion in the past month over some of the issues in non-conforming use, and we currently have a request for a legal review and opinion out related to this matter. That has not, it was sent on Monday and hasn't come back yet, just to let you know. But if we read here, 11.8.4, anytime, the 11.1, jump back, pardon me, 11.8.1 has that beautiful word, that notwithstanding. So basically, notwithstanding everything that comes prior to 11.8, if the BZA would so like to, they could grant an expansion of a non-conforming use. And then section 11.8.4 says, such review and approval of the expansion of a non-conforming use shall not be a variance, but shall be a separate review of the individual non-conforming use. And what staff's trying to achieve with the wording of this, we jump back, and then also here is the maximum extent feasible, just in case anyone, maximum extent feasible shall mean that no feasible and prudent alternative exists, and all possible efforts to comply with the regulation or minimize the potential harm or adverse impacts have been undertaken. Economic considerations may be taken into consideration. So jumping back to the recommendation of approval, so section 11.8.4, should the board decide to approve this or include staff's recommendations based on 11.8.4, that there is no variance granted based on this case for this property. We are just approving the use as presented for this one specific instance, this one specific applicant, at this one specific moment in time, and in no way should there be any assumption that a variance would go with the property in perpetuity. And we'll discuss on that a little bit more if you guys are interested later on. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience on that one.
No. Is the applicant present and has a presentation? Okay, question for staff.
Question for staff. So on your item number 3, staff recommendations, it's worded where you're saying the site plan shall comply with all relevant aspects. Did I just hear you say
Yes, sir.
within the maximum extent feasible?
On the screen is a version I updated just a few moments before the meeting started to try to give us a little bit of leeway
Okay.
to better describe what it is we're trying to achieve here.
So if we were to approve this with your staff recommendations, it's what's on the screen,
Yes,
not
sir.
what's in front of me?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay.
Thank you for catching that. I meant to put a note here to remind you, but yes, sir. With what's on the screen would be, would you like me to read again just for?
No,
Sure, okay. Thank you for that, and my apologies for that.
that's fine, thanks.
No, I'm not supposed to apologize.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? See none? Is the applicant present? Okay, would you like to come give?
Ed Jose, the attorney for the applicant.
Yeah, if you want to come give a presentation on his behalf, that's fine.
Yes. Nima Motan is the actual owner of the business that's
Yeah,
making the
we met him last month.
application.
Yes, sir.
You want him to be up here too?
He doesn't have to be, but
Okay.
if he does, I need to have him sign in, so it's,
Okay. I think it'd be fine at this point. I've worked with Jared on, when we submitted this licensing agreement. It looks like his analysis is that we would need basically 12 spaces. If you look at the parking behind our lot, if it gets flashed up there, it's about 82 feet behind our building. The parking lot that's in blue is the neighboring daycare center. They're not open on the weekends, and usually, from what we've heard, close around 5 o'clock in the evenings. Their children leaving and going, so which is probably more prime time for a restaurant in the evening. So that is a pretty open parking lot on the weekends and on the evenings. We've got probably space behind ours, if you look at the 82 feet behind our building, at the width of about 9 foot per parking space, there's almost 9 spaces there. So we really need, according to what Mr. Alec was saying, would at least 3 more spaces. Is that correct?
That seems to be correct, yep.
But you can see it's a sizable parking lot behind us, or behind the daycare center, which they've already signed an agreement. I've talked to Jared, we need to do more work on that agreement. Is that correct? To be able to show the actual parking spaces behind our space?
That's correct. Just an updated site plan
Just
delineating
maybe a
the spaces
little bit
that
of
will
show
be,
the actual spots,
yes, sir.
listed in there, which we will be happy to do. He has supplied me with, all of the requirements for shared parking, and I will make the modifications that are necessary to make that happen. But at least we've got something signed already that's notarized that owner says you can use our space,
perfect.
which seems pretty ample between those 2 spaces to accommodate us.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jose.
Anyone here else to speak in favor? Anyone speaking in opposition? I see none. Can I have a motion to close the public portion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion's been made. Is second?
Second?
Second's been made. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bartol?
Yes.
Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Shep?
Yes.
Mr. Saido?
Yes.
Mr. Roberto?
Yes. Mr. Seidel, you want to start us off this evening? Do you have any questions for the applicant?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. Shep?
No.
Ms. Owens?
No questions.
Mr. Bartle?
Well, I was just curious about the operating hours of the restaurant.
All right, come
He's not sworn in, but do you want to swear him in quick?
Yes, if you don't mind, and I'll have him sign in as well. Do you firmly swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth before the Board of Zoning Appeals? Say I do.
Yes.
I do. Thank you. And if you don't mind, come up here and sign in for me. Thank you, sir. You can put your address on there as well. Thanks, sir. Question's been asked, what are your hours?
So I'm planning
Sir?
1 o'clock.
Mr. Noonan, would you please just state your name and address for the record, please, if you would? Thank you, sir.
Hometown 8525 Foxtrot Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio 45231.
Thank you, sir. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm planning, but I'm not sure yet. I'm planning 1 o'clock till 12 p.m. I mean 12 a.m.
12 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay?
And I don't know if this is a staff question, but when it comes to deliveries, does it seem okay? And what about, and then trash? I don't know if there's going to be a dumpster.
Yep, so that's the portion of the recommendations where we would make the
Oh,
agreement.
You'll
to-
work
to-
that
yep,
out?
the maximum extent feasible. Yes, sir. There are still issues that need to be addressed. Really, what we're seeking tonight and trying to clarify as well is that if the board either would grant or entertain a motion to approve the expansion of the non-conforming use, and then with those conditions that the applicant makes a good faith effort to the maximum extent feasible to abide by all the regulations. So parking, waste receptacles, any landscaping requirements necessary, again, to the maximum extent feasible.
Right.
Just
Okay.
give us a little latitude to work with him, and then latitude to work with us. Yes, sir.
I was just curious about deliveries. I mean, it's probably too early to figure that out, but, you know, what kind of trucks it would be, and would they actually pull into the parking lot? Could they get back out if they did? And they're not going to stop on Colerain to unload and load.
Better not.
But anyway, that's, I guess, just a detail that has to be worked out. I'm assuming.
That is so, let's see here, trying as concisely as I can say, there are some proposals, given our future upcoming rewrite,
Yeah.
where a big thing going, I don't know if trend's the right word, nationwide, where municipalities are just eliminating parking regulations altogether. Not my preference, not my, I wouldn't agree with that for situations like this, right? There are very valid questions that are addressed and answered by that. Again, great question that we would need to figure out, can we get the deliveries in here with whatever type of vehicles they may be? If I mean, I'm not sure if we're talking, a semi, or a box truck, or maybe even, if you have your own personal vehicle, that's not even a commercial vehicle at all. If you're going to pick up the supplies, that'd be it.
Yeah.
Something that the applicant could,
I would think you'd be able to get in and out of through Lena at least. I mean,
So it looks like you can
yeah,
sneak around the back of the blue rectangle.
right. And then they could back into the space if they need it.
Okay.
So when we bought the freezer and when we had to rent the UL truck and we were able to drive in the biggest size of the UL truck when we bought the biggest size of the freezer. So
But Cisco and those sort of food delivery trucks, they're in semis, so that's the concern he has is whether or not there's that ability to get in there, and is it gonna cause a problem for traffic is kind of what we're trying to address.
do you intend to have deliveries of items and supplies like that, or do you intend on your own to go get those and bring them there to the restaurant? I don't know if I said that concisely or if that made sense, but
Yeah, I mean, are you gonna go out and get your own supplies, or are you gonna have them delivered? Is really
most of them, like for the restaurants, I'm gonna have to go get, like Restaurant Depot is the one that I get it. So.
okay.
Okay. I think, yeah, that's my only questions. Thanks.
thank you, sir, for.
I want to address the easement part, or not the easement, the right of way. I mean, originally this was a 2-lane road when this building was probably built. So I mean, I think Ohio's kind of did a take, and it's how we got the lines on top of a building, because there's no way that this would have been legal, today. And if you look at all these homes, the properties, they're right on the road, which is why we have our zoning laws today. So, I don't have any questions for the applicant. Do we have anyone who'd like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the requested expansion of a non-conforming use with the staff's 3 recommendations as presented to us tonight.
Okay, a motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second's been made. Any discussion? I see
No,
none.
other than just, it would be nice, I know this is a non-conforming use, but in lieu of a vacant building with weeds growing around it, it will be nice to see something, hopefully a successful business there. So that's the main reason I would vote for it.
I mean, it's going to look and feel kind of the same way it is now. I mean, you're going to clean it up and make it pretty, but it's not going to be flashing lights and neon signs and things like that.
No.
So be respectful of Colerain Township, and we won't be unhappy with you. So motion made, second, and discussions where we were at. I see no further discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Saido,
Yes.
Mr. Shep,
Yes.
Ms. Owens,
Yes.
Mr. Bartol,
Yes.
Mr. Roberto.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Lima, and thank you, Mr. Joseas. Thank you. Good luck to you, sir, there.
We have no unfinished business. Approval of the minutes. We didn't have minutes at this present. Okay, we'll have them next month.
Well, let's see, yep, so currently, there are no applications nor any business since nothing was continued tonight. It would be, let me rephrase that. Currently, BZA 2023-05 would be scheduled for July's meeting.
Correct.
Staff presumes that we will have some type of agreement worked out before then with administration, and then that will require trustee approval. So while there is technically a case pending, staff is operating the presumption that they will not be here next month.
Okay.
Therefore, that would push us to the August, should not say 15th, pardon me, to the August meeting, I apologize. But brings me to the next point, if we could. If there's any business for August, I'll email you the packets.
Okay.
And
Perfect.
Were there minutes from last month?
there are no minutes prepared from last month, so at the next meeting, we'll use minutes from last month, and then this month's meeting minutes to approve.
So please playing catch up.
Pretty lightly. Huh? What was it? Oh,
She's giving you grief.
we're getting there.
My mic was off. I didn't say
Good deal.
All right, administrative matters?
One of the best parts to address all this. So it's been chaos, to say the least. And we were skin of our teeth kind of on some things, and minutes late, presentations a little choppy, all that kind of stuff. However, very excited to introduce our two new staff members, David Peters and Justin Becker. I don't know why I said your name like that, but it seemed fitting. Very seem to be great and astute young men who are just picking up incredibly fast. Marty Kohler came back this past month and helped us train them
Great.
and get them up to speed, and they've caught on unbelievably fast. With that, I'll be quiet, and then see if they want to introduce themselves. I don't know if they,
Yeah, Davis, tell us a little bit about yourself, David.
put your mics on if you
Can we
would.
talk?
No, you tell it to me, and then I'll tell it to the board. No, I'm just teasing. Yes, you may speak.
I'm David Peters. I just graduated from Miami University. I graduated late in life. I was an over-the-road truck driver and decided I wanted to have a little bit different of a life, where I could be home.
Sure.
So I did a project for Northgate Mall in my last semester at Miami, and that introduced me to Colerain. And I love the community, and I think there's a lot of potential for growth. So here I am. Perfect. And I'm happy to be here with you.
Thank you. And Justin?
Likewise, I went to Miami with David. We actually took several classes together over our years. So I went and got my bachelor's from there, and then also my master's. Got my bachelor's in geography, and then for master's, sort of like an all-in-one, geography, urban planning, and GIS, as he did as well. Got his GIS certificate, and pretty much over the last 4 years, ideally wanting to head into a planning position, and now here I am.
Great. Who got the better grades?
I mean, I was cool.
You're under oath. You're under
We're
oath.
very close. We're very close.
All right, well, great. Well, welcome aboard. We're looking forward to great things from you guys. Anything else from the staff?
Let's see, a couple things. We just received on Monday a sort of draft of some of the proposed changes for the upcoming zoning resolution amendment, the text amendment, the comprehensive one. And we will be having a session tomorrow. Staff will be to review that internally, see how it lines up with the comprehensive plan. And other public documents, and then hopefully at the next time we meet, be it July, be it August, we'll have some good stuff to report to the board on that. And then just a real quick tag on sort of reevaluating some of the procedures overall. So like in the case of tonight, that 11.8.4, where we should not be granting variances to some of these old non-conforming properties, especially if the 2-year term has expired. Making sure, running that through legal first and see if our interpretation is correct. And then hopefully, pushing some of these property owners to make some different decisions to spur new development within Colerain Township. So we can start getting some newer, nicer things here, if that's what the outcome is. So just, there may be a few either minor changes or moderate changes to how we kind of conduct this. These meetings, BZA especially, where it is quasi-judicial and things should be, some things in possibly a little bit different manner. We're just kind of, with these two on board, all the things some of the ideas or questions we've had, we'll get them answered, and if we can, implement them. But then also things like minutes being late or packets being right on time, like this really should be the end of that. So that's what I have on that. Thank you for your patience in getting us here. It got a little bumpy there, but we're here now. So thank you very much, board members. I appreciate it.
Thanks for all the hard work.
Well, you're welcome.
Mr. Thiemann, welcome.
And
Yes, sir.
yeah,
So with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second's been made. And any discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Bartow,
Yes.
Ms. Owens,
Yes.
Mr. Shep,
Yes.
Mr. Sado, and Mr. Roberto.
Yes. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.